Today is Tuesday, September 2nd. We're talking about the top item on lawmakers' agendas as they return to the nation's capital, and President Trump's effort to cut more foreign aid just as more catastrophic natural disasters strike overseas. Also, the latest U.S. court rulings on tariffs and child immigrants set for deportation. Plus, more turmoil and warnings at the CDC. New state laws taking effect this month. And yet another record set by Taylor Swift, even before her new album drops. Those stories and even more news coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Today, Congress is back from its summer recess, and lawmakers now have less than a month to pass a bipartisan funding deal or else face a government shutdown. Even though Republicans control both chambers of commerce, they do need some support from Democrats in the Senate to pass spending laws. And it's not clear if they'll be able to come to an agreement. But Democrats and some Republicans say negotiations are being complicated by the White House cutting spending they've already approved. Already earlier this summer, the GOP passed legislation to cut about $9 billion in foreign aid and public broadcasting funds. Then on Friday, President Trump told Congress he'll block another nearly $5 billion lawmakers also approved for foreign aid. The Trump administration is already facing dozens of lawsuits over its efforts to freeze or claw back spending in foreign aid and more. Records released last week also showed the White House was blocking low-income housing services, education assistance, medical research, and other programs approved by Congress. It's a fight that's ultimately expected to end up at the U.S. Supreme Court. Humanitarian officials say because of aid cuts, there hasn't been a big enough response to a powerful earthquake. The 6.0 magnitude quake struck Afghanistan near the border of Pakistan late Sunday. More than 800 people have been confirmed dead and thousands more are hurt. Officials say entire villages were destroyed and the death toll could still rise significantly. Countries like China, India, the UK, and Switzerland have promised to send donations. Meanwhile, in Western Sudan, a rebel group says at least 1,000 people died in a landslide on Sunday. It's now also asking for humanitarian assistance from the UN and international aid organizations. Well, back in the U.S., the Trump administration was moments away from deporting Guatemalan children when a federal judge stepped in. The kids crossed the border without any parents or guardians. And over the weekend, they were already loaded on planes on a tarmac with the U.S. ready to deport them. But the judge decided to give their lawyers 2 more weeks to discuss the case. And during that time, hundreds of children will stay in shelters. Already, the National Immigration Law Center has said the kids face abuse, neglect, persecution, or torture if they're sent back to Guatemala. But White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller says the Trump administration is just trying to reunify the kids with their parents. Either way, the kids will now be making their cases in court first, and they'll have the chance to pursue asylum. The Trump administration has decided to suspend almost all types of visitor visas for Palestinians. It goes beyond the measure we told you about that paused visitor visas from people who live in Gaza. This time, Palestinians in the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and refugee camps nearby are impacted too. And it means Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas won't be able to go to the meeting of world leaders at the UN General Assembly in New York next month. At this point, it's not clear why the U.S. changed its policies, but it comes just as several countries like France, Canada, and the UK are expected to formally recognize a Palestinian state as a way to pressure Israel and show support for Palestinians in the face of war in Gaza. Speaking of which, Israel launched more attacks in and around Gaza City over the weekend, and dozens of people were killed. Israel still says it's only targeting terrorists and blames Hamas for civilian deaths because the group operates in densely populated areas. But yesterday, the largest professional association of scholars studying genocide accused Israel of genocide in Gaza. International human rights groups have already accused Israel of the same thing. But the Israeli government has responded to say those determinations are, quote, entirely based on Hamas's campaign of lies. Still, it's expected to keep facing international pressure. In fact, over the weekend, thousands of protesters marched outside the Venice Film Festival to denounce Israel and call for an end of the war. It may have been the largest protest ever seen at a major film event. Russia has been intensifying attacks on Ukraine over the weekend, and it seems to be targeting some of Ukraine's European allies, too. The European Commission accused Russia of jamming the GPS on its president's plane on the way to Bulgaria on Sunday. And last week, an attack in Ukraine damaged an EU delegations building. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin has been highlighting his relationship with some of his biggest supporters. Yesterday, he met with the leaders of China, India, Iran, Belarus, and more. Then tomorrow, he'll also meet with North Korea's dictator. Analysts say these meetings are meant to show off a bond between the leaders of an alternative world order, challenging the U.S., especially in the face of punishing tariffs. So far, no response from President Trump. Back in the U.S., a federal appeals court decided many of President Trump's global tariffs are illegal. But for now, they are staying in effect. The court gave Trump until next month to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. The White House has actually always said it expected tariffs to end up in front of the High Court, and the Trump administration is willing to bet the more conservative-leaning justices will side with the president. But they'll also have to hear from the other side, which includes small businesses, trade associations, and so on. They all say Trump imposing tariffs without involving Congress is illegal and unconstitutional. But the president says if the tariffs went away, it would be a, quote, total disaster for our country. Either way, a final decision could still be many months away. More news ahead in just a moment, but first, thanks to our sponsor. As we head into fall, I've been loving my trade coffee routine even more. When we have crisp mornings, I have a comforting hot cup. But when it still feels like summer outside, or sometimes even in the afternoon, I switch to a refreshing, delicious iced coffee. Thanks to Trade, I have great options and can enjoy whatever I'm craving because I know the beans are freshly roasted and delivered right to my door. I've discovered roasters I never would have found at the grocery store, and the flavors are always next level. The beans smell so fresh the moment I open the bag. Even my kiddo tells me, wow, your coffee smells so good, and I agree with him. Trade works with more than 50 top roasters around the country, including a special collection just for cold brew. And if you're not sure where you want to start, you just take their quiz, and in under a minute, they'll match you with coffees you'll love, hot or cold. Plus, if that first bag is not quite right, Trade will even replace it for free until they nail it. Right now, Trade is offering 50% off a 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/newsworthy. That's drinktrade.com/newsworthy to get 50% off 1 month. drinktrade.com/newsworthy. Now, back to the news. The start of September means new laws have kicked in for certain states around the country. Most of the big ones are in Texas. The Lone Star State has more than 800 new laws now in force, covering everything from school policies to public safety to infrastructure to abortion. There are also new restrictions on diversity policies, bail reform, school vouchers, property tax relief, and much more. Meanwhile, South Carolina enacted a new hands-free driving law, putting a ban on anyone touching their phones behind the wheel. Missouri is ending the sales tax for period products. Illinois is making digital driver's licenses available. And Nebraska is defining male and female based on biological sex. Of course, those are just a few of the new state laws out of several taking effect this week. Turmoil at the CDC has reached new heights. Most recently, 9 former directors and acting directors at the Federal Health Agency wrote an op-ed for the New York Times. They spanned Democratic and Republican administrations, including President Trump's first term. But in the article, they wrote that the health department under Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is, quote, unlike anything our country has ever experienced. They say Kennedy is endangering every American's health by focusing on unproven treatments, downplaying vaccines, and canceling investments in promising medical research. And those are just a few of their concerns. So they're asking for Congress to do proper oversight of the health department and for state and local governments to fill funding gaps where they can. Of course, this comes just days after President Trump fired CDC Director Susan Menarez. And the article says losing her and other top officials will make it hard for the CDC to do its job of protecting Americans. So far, no response from Kennedy, but the White House has defended him, saying he's just helping the CDC, quote, earn back the trust it had squandered. As for President Trump, he's blamed the COVID-19 vaccines for tensions at the CDC, saying there's a disagreement on whether they saved lives. So yesterday, he told drug companies to, quote, justify their success in combating COVID-19. And he wants data released right away. Stay tuned. The Trump family's crypto venture started trading new digital tokens this week. And with that, the Trumps are believed to have brought in about $5 billion more in wealth, at least on paper. It's all through World Liberty Financial, which is a crypto-based finance company co-founded by President Trump's 3 sons. Technically, their tokens are locked, meaning they still can't sell them. But the trading launch puts a real-world valuation on their holdings. And the Wall Street Journal reports World Liberty Financial is likely now the Trumps' most valuable asset, even more than their real estate. The Trumps plan for World Liberty to become a more serious industry player. It's already issuing stablecoins and has plans for a mobile app. Critics say World Liberty could be an outlet for people who want help from the White House to influence the Trump family. But the Trump administration says the president and his family have no conflicts of interest. Of course, cryptocurrencies are notoriously volatile, so the exact size of the Trump fortune could fluctuate quite a bit. Taylor Swift is already setting records with her next album, and it's not even out yet. Spotify announced that her album, The Life of a Showgirl, has become the most pre-saved album countdown page in its history. The countdown page for the new album went live August 14th, along with an exclusive playlist called And Baby That's Show Business for You. It features 22 already released songs produced by two of Swift's collaborators, Max Martin and Shellback, who also produced this new album. This record-breaking milestone on Spotify continues Swift's dominance on the platform. In 2024, she was Spotify's most streamed artist worldwide with more than 26 billion streams. She's had similar success on other platforms too, like Apple Music, which just announced Swift was its most favorited artist of all time. The Life of a Showgirl, Swift's 12th studio album, comes out October 3rd. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, this episode is sponsored by Quince. This time of year, as we start fall, I'll be looking for pieces that feel timeless, special, and cozy. And Quince has all of that. For a milestone birthday recently, my friends gifted me a beautiful bracelet from Quince. I've been wearing it every day, and I love how it elevates even my simplest outfits. It's the kind of piece that looks and is luxurious, but true to Quince style, costs a fraction of what you'd expect for that level of quality. And as the weather cools, I'm also bringing back my wool sweater from last year. It's soft, stylish, and still looks brand new, the kind of fall staple that makes getting dressed easy. Quince offers 100% Mongolian cashmere from $50, washable silk tops, tailored denim, and beautifully made accessories. And by partnering directly with ethical, top-tier factories and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you the luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. Keep it classic and cozy this fall with long-lasting staples from Quince. Go to quince.com/newsworthy for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/newsworthy to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Trivia Tuesday. And today's trivia question is, which day of the week was named after a goddess? Listen again next Tuesday for the answer and explanation. As for last week's trivia question, what famous figure was in Apple's original logo? The answer is Isaac Newton. When Apple was founded back in 1976, co-founder Ronald Wayne designed the very first logo, and it looked nothing like the clean, modern Apple symbol we know today. It was an elaborate illustration of Newton sitting under a tree with the apple that inspired his discovery of gravity hanging above his head. The image even included a quote from poet William Wordsworth, "A mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought alone." But that design did not last long. Within a year, it was replaced by the simpler rainbow Apple logo created by designer Rob Janoff. He added the famous bite mark so people wouldn't confuse the shape with a cherry. Since then, Apple has streamlined the look even more, evolving into the iconic monochrome symbol that still defines the company today. Thank you so much for joining us to get caught up on the news today and for sharing the show. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest news to know. Until then, have a great day.